Good morning, everyone. We are live on Zoom and Instagram. Welcome to those of you who are joining us on both. I'm just going to wait another 20 or 30 seconds or so. We've only just gone live on Instagram, so we'll give the morning people a chance to jump on. Before we make it start, it is a Monday and it is the morning, so you're going to need some kettlebells. You'll see I've got kettlebells on the floor around me. Who we got? Rach is with us this morning. Morning, Rach. We're going to start on the floor for our warm-up, guys, okay? So find a space, drop on down, and here we go. So flatten your back for me. And we're going to start just with feet planted, around about hip width apart, arms up the side, and we're just going to take the knees over to either side, allowing the hips and lower back to open. Once you've had 10 side to side, so 5 each way, we're then going to bring the feet off the floor. So then we've got 90 degrees at the knee and the hip, and we do another 5 rotations to each side. We want to be keeping both shoulders flat on the floor here. And once you've finished 5 each side, all you're going to do is roll over onto one side, keeping the knees in that 90-90 position. Bottom arm out straight, top hand on top, and then we're going to open here. So we're just getting some good movement through the spine this morning. Those who are joining straight from bed, once you've had 5, this is a great way to start. We roll over to the other side, and exactly the same thing. Awesome. Once we're done there, you're just going to roll over onto your front. Hands in a press-up position. Now, if you want to come up through the press-up on your knees, you can. But we are going to come up through a press-up and up into a down dog. So we're pushing that floor away with our arms. Slight bend in the knees if you need it. And then we're dropping one heel down to the floor at a time. Putting some length to the calf and the hamstring. Good. Slowly come back to the top of the press up. And then we're going to step one foot up towards a hand. Now it doesn't need to go all the way to the hand. Just back a little bit, that's fine. The most important thing is the sole stays flat to the floor and the back leg is out straight. Okay? Same hand as the front leg, take it off the floor. And try and drop the elbow towards the ankle. Then point it at the ceiling. And turn and open. We want that chest turning in towards that front knee. Come back down. And back up. 3 big rotations. A little hold at the bottom range point and a little hold at the top point. Really try to turn the torso. Then we step back and we do exactly the same thing on the other side. Keeping that back leg straight. Take the hand nearest the foot off the floor. Point. Try and almost get the elbow to touch the ankle if you can. Then point it to the ceiling, so I'm turning my torso towards my front knee, and then raise the hand. Spend half a second to a second there, come back down, keeping that back leg straight. One more time. Excellent. Hand down. Staying in that press-up position, we're just going to start to warm the shoulders now. And we're going to start with the press-up plus, okay? So arms stay locked out. I stay in my press-up position. And I'm just trying to push the floor away, getting the shoulder blades to spread across my back. I don't want my hips to rise at the same time. Just get 10 reps here. Arms stay straight all the time. You don't need your shoulder blades to come in and touch together. Just from your normal press-up position, just pushing the floor away. So we're getting that rounding of the shoulder and spreading of the shoulder blade. Good. When we're done there, step in and up onto your feet. Good stuff. Just going to go through a little lunge sequence and then we'll be ready to go. So we want 3 lunges in each direction. We're going to go 3 forward lunges. Making sure that we stay on that train track. 3 lateral lunges. keeping everything pointing forwards. Then 3 reverse lunges. So I'm keeping the one foot planted to the floor all the time. And I go 3 forward on the other leg. Thinking about dropping that back knee to the floor. 3 lateral lunges. And then we finish it off with 3 reverse lunges. Staying balanced all the time, keeping the weight over the front leg. Back knee drops towards the floor. And there we go, nicely done. That's our warm-up done. Okay, I've got 2 kettlebells out today. Okay, if you've got the ability to use a heavy one and a lighter one, you can do. I'm only going to be doing that because we're going to have some pressing in and got a bit of a dodgy shoulder on one side, so I need to use a lighter weight than I'm going to use for my lower body. If you've only got the one, don't worry. If it's a moderate weight, you'll be fine. Okay, so we're going to start with weight in one hand. And we are going to do a pendulum lunge. Okay, so the weight's going to stay in one hand. And we are going to do a forward lunge and then a backward lunge. And we're going to count to 10 reps and then we're going to switch hands and do the other side. Okay, so forward, backwards lunge. If I'm holding the weight in one hand, it doesn't matter which leg I go forward with or backwards with because we're going to do the same on the other side. Okay, so I'll lunge forward and back, forward, back, and back. Now if I need to touch, okay, if I need to touch here to regain my balance to be able to go back, I absolutely can. That's fine. Once you work through your 10 reps, switch the weight over, and then we work on the other side. Okay, and then we'll have our rest period. All right, okay. Good. So pick your weight up. 3, 2, 1. I lunge forward and back. Nice and controlled. So the weight's on the outside of me here, and it drops into where the front foot should be. You'll notice that I'm keeping good width in my feet all the time, so I'm not stepping on a tight rope. I'm trying not to let the weight dictate my body position. And once you've done your 10 on each side, we can start and rest. Good. We're going to have a minute recovery before we go again. So I'm giving you about a minute to get the work done, so we don't need to rush. And we've got a minute recovery, okay? So we're going every 2 minutes. We've got 45 seconds. So we don't need to rush these, okay? Take your time. Make sure your breathing's under control. We've got 30 seconds before we go again. And remembering that back knee always wants to drop to the floor, okay? What we don't need to see is a long back leg position. We're going to soften that leg to get the load through the front leg. And a slight forward lean of the torso means that we keep the weight over the front leg. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Away we go. There's my forwards, straight into my reverse. Remembering that you can put that touch in if you need to. Once you're done, change sides and we go again. Making sure that whichever, when the weight's in the opposite hand to the front leg, that you're lowering it down into that space. So really stay balanced and to keep the weight through the front leg. Good job. 2 sets done. Really nice. So the key points are making sure that the movement's controlled. If you're going to power out of that front lunge and go straight through into the back lunge, make sure you stay balanced. If you're struggling with that balance, take a touch before you move into the next rep. Don't let the weight dictate your body position. Super important. And also, stay off the train tracks. Stay on the train tracks, sorry, not on the tightrope. Okay, we don't want one foot behind the other. We want our feet hip width apart as much as possible. Less than 20 seconds before our third set. And keep it under control, okay? You've got loads of time to get the work done. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, away we go. Making sure that when the weight's on the outside of my body, I don't want to let it drop me towards the floor, whether that's on the forward lunge or the backward lunge. Once we finish, control and change sides. It's really important here that I'm dropping that back knee down towards the floor to allow my front leg to take the load. Once you finish the 10, you can rest. Nice work. Okay. So next, something very similar, except we're going to go side to side. Okay, just under a minute before we do it. So the weight this time, whichever leg I'm doing my lateral lunge with, I'm going to have the weight in my opposite hand. But when I come up, I'm then going to cross that leg behind and drop into a little bit of a curtsy. The weight's going to be on the outside. Okay? So the load's here. Then when I change sides, change hands, change where I step on that lunge, and down into that curtsy. And with that curtsy, again, it's really important that I take the step before I drop if I need to. We're trying to keep shoulders and hips relatively square, okay? We certainly want to keep the shoulders. If we had wings going out of my shoulders, they wouldn't drop side to side too much. Here, a rotation's fine. We don't want to let the weight drag us down and around on that side, okay? 3, 2, 1, here we go. Take your time on that curtsy lunge. Good. 10 in total again. Making sure that I don't sit too much on that back leg in the curtsy. Good. Then we change. Change hands. Change the direction of the lateral lunge. So you'll notice I'm sending the weight towards the moving foot all the time. I'm not allowing, as I'm moving side to side, I'm not allowing that back to round and get pulled out of position by the weight. Okay? Really good stuff, guys. Well done. So it's all about control, but producing force and power under that control. Good, 45 seconds to go. So remember, there's loads of time. There's 2 minutes to complete both sides, okay? "25 seconds before set number 2. All right, 15 seconds now. So remember the moving leg, the weight's in the opposite hand when you move into that lateral lunge, and it'll be obviously in this So the opposite hand to the moving leg all the time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In that lateral lunge, I'm making sure that all my toes are pointing forwards, the non-working leg stays straight, and that I send the weight towards the foot. So again, it's very much swinging like a pendulum. Thinking about where the force is through the foot. We don't want to let the weight roll onto the outside of the foot. Really pushing off the inside ridge of that foot. And we can rest. Good. Nicely done. Good. Finishing off nice and slowly, remembering that you don't need to bounce side to side. You can stop in that midpoint all the time. So you can have that middle touch point underneath the hips before you transfer into the curtsy lunge. And as we go into the curtsy lunge, we want to make sure that that leg travels back behind and the knee drops towards the floor, almost like you're trying to get the knee of the back leg towards the heel of the front foot. Okay, just very much coming down here. So as you step into your right with your left foot, you're thinking about it going to around about 4 o'clock-ish as you drop the knee. And when the right leg goes behind, you're looking at sending to about 8 o'clock. Okay, good stuff. 15 seconds before our final set. Three, 2, 1. Here we go. Remembering that way we're trying to send the weight as we step into that curtsy. Don't let the weight pull you to that one side. Stay strong and tall, driving off the front leg. And after your 10 reps, you can switch arms, keep the core nice and tight. And then I think about the weight transfer from one leg to the other. Thinking about my posture all the time. I might get a little bit of a rotation. Can you control that weight? Sending it towards wherever the foot is going. Both times, that's going to mean that we've got to control what's happening with the torso. So we might get some rotation of the torso. What we don't want is too much lateral flexion. We want that to come from where we send our hips. Good. Awesome. Okay. Into some upper body work now, 2 upper body exercises. We're sticking with 10 reps. We've got a row and a press. Okay, and we're going to do them both in a split position, which means that our lower body is going to continue to take some punishment. Starting with a row, okay, so split stance position. The weight is where my back foot would have been. I'm going to rock over, keeping my back flat. I'm going to take hold. I'm going to come off the floor slightly, and then I'm going to row. And you'll notice with the row, I'm going to let my torso turn just a little bit. So very much like that press up plus we did in the warm-up. I want my shoulder to be able to move here, get the shoulder blade to move as I row. Okay, 15 seconds. I'll go completely side on, so you can see the weight is opposite my front foot. That's where I'm going to pick it up from. The back heel's off the floor. 3, 2, 1. I'm rocking over, keeping my back nice and flat, and then I row. 10 reps. Nice and controlled. Keeping the weight through the front leg. And then you just switch stance, switch hands. punching that elbow high to the ceiling, so the elbow doesn't want to go out wide, straight back, looking down towards the floor. And once you're finished, you can rest. Excellent. So with that row, guys, okay, it's really important that the lower back stays flat whilst I allow my upper back to move with the weight. And I'm really trying to squeeze that elbow in nice and tight to the side of the body, okay? Super important. We're going to squeeze the shoulder blade in here and then let it roll out and down the side of the body as the hand drops. 45 seconds before we go. So remembering that split stance, we want the load over the front leg, okay? Stabilizing with the glute. You might even get some hamstring load. It's really important that there's tension in that front leg and take the load up with the lower back. 20 seconds before step number 2. 10. So I'm assuming my split position, the weight's opposite my front foot. Got a nice wide base. 3, 2, 1. Weight comes off the floor and I row. As long as I can keep control of my posture, the speed of the movement doesn't really matter. Good stuff. Once I finish my 10, I change my stance, change the hand, load over that front leg. Notice I'm bending the knees to support the load. Thinking about how I'm pushing through the floor with my front leg to keep my back nice and flat, keeping my chest up so I don't let the weight round me out into this position, pushing my tail bone away from me. Notice that I'm reciprocating the movement. Poof, big word for Monday morning. But I'm reciprocating with my non-working arm to get the slings working in the body the way that I would like. 2 sets done, 1 to go. Definitely sweating this morning. And my lower body knows that I've done 60 lunges on each side this morning, holding the split position. We've got 30 seconds before our final set, guys, of rows, and then we've got a press to do. All right, coming into the last 10 seconds. So just remember the quality of the movement, okay? 5, 4, it's all about the setup, take your time. Plant your front foot next to the load. 3, 2, 1. I hinge over at the hips, sending my hips backwards, but keeping my chest over my front leg, and then I'm going to row. Elbow comes through tight, hand comes into the rib cage. Not letting the weight dictate my body position at all. On to the other side. Lower back stays flat throughout. Almost done. Remembering that you've got loads of time to get the work done. Once you're finished, you can rest. So, our final exercise. We're going to take the lower body out of the equation now, okay? But we're going to make it a bit more of a challenge for our core. How we're going to do that, we do a lot of pressing from a half kneeling position. What we're going to do today is we're going to press from a full kneeling position, Okay, so if you want a cushion or something to kneel on, that's absolutely fine. But what we're going to do is a double kneeling position right here. Okay, so side on, I'll be here. What I don't want to do is press and sit back on my toes. I want my feet nice and flat. We've got 20 seconds before we go. Picking up the dumbbell or the kettlebell on one side. And we got 10 presses. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Away we go. Bringing the hand back to the shoulder. Keeping the core nice and tight. So what we don't want to do is lean back. Pressing that hand to the ceiling and the bicep towards your ear. Keeping the core nice and tight so the ribs don't flare. And then switch sides. Because our base of support is so narrow now through our feet, it's really important that we don't. We need to have good control around the trunk. You notice that I'm bringing the load right down and in. A dumbbell might sit a little bit further out. You can bring it in like an Arnie press if you want to. Once you're finished, slowly lower the weight down to the floor. 2 hands, bring it down and in front. Good stuff. A minute to go. You can get up and walk around, get up and have a drink. 2 more sets to go, guys. Very nice. "30 seconds. So this is really about how, in that kneeling position, how we engage the glutes. You notice as I squeeze the glutes, yes, my hips go forward, but my pelvis also rotates. And you notice how that flattens my rib cage down. It allows me to pull in through my core as well to make sure that I'm not losing that solid position. 10 seconds away then, guys. Down in my double kneeling position. You can go a little bit wider with the knees if you need to. 3, 2, 1. Bring that load up. Controlling it down, thinking about the path. If I'm using a kettlebell, I want to think about the connection with my forearm more than I do my hand, because otherwise I let the kettlebell go. I'm trying not to lean with the press, sideways or backwards. Once I finish the 10, I'm going to change sides. Core nice and tight. Controlling my breathing, keeping my core nice and tight. Thinking about what's going on with the rib cage all the time as you press. Once you're done, slowly lower down and rest. We've got 1 more set. Good stuff. Full body work on a Monday morning. 1 more set to go. And you've got quite a bit of time. You've got 20 to 35 seconds before we go again. And we are nearly there. 20 seconds before our final set of shoulder press. Ten seconds. So I'm going to drop down. Take my position, bring the weight up, think about my kneeling position. 3, 2, 1, away we go. Nice and controlled, particularly on the way down, making sure the weight's coming back into where I want it to be. Don't want to rush it on the way down and end up dropping the chest. If you're starting to struggle, all you can do is just send the hips backwards into the press. So as you're lowering down, you can send the hips back a little bit and actually get a little bit of hip and leg action if you need to. Ideally, you keep it strict today. It's really important our start position is solid. If the chest drops, it means I've got to refine that position to press, and it's just costly in terms of energy. Excellent. Once you're finished, slowly lower that weight down to the floor. Good job. Up onto your feet. Catch your breath. Really nicely done. So we got a ton of reps in there this morning, guys. We got 60 lunges in on each leg. All right, 3 sets of 10 on each leg, which is a load of volume. Okay, it's definitely been enough to get our heart rate up because the movements have been really big. And it's been all done after a 5-minute warm-up. It was all done in 25 minutes, okay? And if you're pretty time pressured, like 20 minutes of good quality hard work is loads of work, okay? If you look at the research around what's called minimal effective dose, we're ticking a lot of boxes there to make sure that not only are we maintaining a base level of strength and muscle mass, and also good quality mobility work in there as well, okay? We're actually doing enough to probably elicit some growth, as long as you are eating right, hydrating right, and sleeping right. And when I say right, I mean kind of optimally balanced, okay? If you're doing all of those things, you're going to continue to make progress, all right? It's not long before gyms reopen now, 4 weeks away, believe it or not that I'm counting down the days, all right? But April 12th, we'll see gyms open nationally, and we can get back to a bit more solid work, okay? Nicely done, guys. Really well done today. So we're just going to get into the hips for one little stretch. Okay, today, into a half kneeling position. Unhook the back foot so his toes are pointing away from you. And we're going to do 2 little stretches. The first one's just for the hip flexors. All we're going to do is just have the weight sit forwards over that front leg and body weight supported. Okay, so in that side on position, I'm just resting right in here, allowing my hips to drop down and through towards the floor. Good. Slowly place the hands down either side of the foot like you're a sprinter. And then what we're going to do from here is you're just going to lengthen that front leg. I'll switch sides so you can see it. Okay. So the closer your feet are to your hands, the quicker you'll feel that hamstring tighten when I start to straighten that front leg. And you're just going to move on and off. If you're struggling for any kind of length, just bring your hands back a little bit. Okay, and that way you can get a bit more length. If your foot comes off the floor, it doesn't really matter. Very nice. And then we're just going to switch sides. Okay, so that leg that was out in front now becomes the back leg. And I'm here. And again, I'm just going to send my weight forwards and rest my weight, my upper body weight on that front leg. And you might find that your hips actually are happy to go that little bit further. And we're not thinking about the hips going forwards, thinking about the hips dropping down towards the floor. The other reason that we stay forwards is that we don't sit here and load that lower back. Good. Hands down either side of that front foot, and then put some length into that hamstring. Don't worry about what's happening to the lower back. We don't mind that rounding. It's actually going to help to open that lower back out. Good. And that is Monday in the bag. Great job, guys. Well done.